Hi guys, so today I'm going to show you how to create the fabric flowers in my file. I have a lot of them here, unfinished, but they're really easy to make and there's so many uses for them. I think my favorite thing to do with them, I love to wrap a gift in plain paper and just add a little flower to it, or if I do a gift bag, I would stain or paint this, but I just add a little adornment to it. So I'm going to start with this one, and this is file number 1. It's really just a set of nested circles, and the way the laser cuts them with this kerf in between, which is just the thickness of the laser, it leaves enough space that it holds the fabric really tightly in place. You don't need glue. It's just going to hold it perfectly. So I'm going to show you how easy these are to do. If you want to pre-cut all your fabric, you can, but I just kind of go layer by layer. And all you're going to do, you want to use a thin fabric, a cotton. Cottons are perfect. Sometimes I like to use a fabric like this. I'm not even sure what this is. I think it was old curtains. I have a huge fabric stash, so I don't know what you would call this, but it's thin enough that I can use 2 pieces in one layer instead of just 1 piece. But just for this video, I think I'm just going to use cotton. You can't really use flannel or upholstery fabrics. They're a little bit too thick. So let's just start with this piece. Okay, so you're just gonna lay it out. If you have a circle cutter and you want to use that, that's fine, but it's really not anything I measure or try to make perfect. You're just gonna cut a circle that's about 2 inches. That's probably more of 1.5 inches. All the way around. Doesn't have to be perfect because now you're going to go in and you're just going to go along your edges and go in and out. Again, nothing perfect. Just to give you this like petal shape, which gives your flower a little more interest when it's all put together instead of just being a solid circle. Okay, I have some pre-cut here, so let's save a little time. So when you're finished, it's just gonna be a piece of fabric like that. And I'm actually gonna use this little stack that I've already used just to save a little time. So you're gonna take your largest circle and you're gonna lay your piece on top. This one's already indented because I've used it and taken it apart. Yours will just be flat like this. So you're gonna make sure it's centered. You're gonna take your next inside circle and you're just gonna push it in there. You can pull it, straighten your fabric out if you want. And then you are going to do the same thing with every circle. Cut around it, make a circle, and then cut your little petal shape. Lay it on top and push your piece in. And here's a little extra that I like to do. I love to use this netting. Let's see, netting, or you can use tulle, some kind of a mesh. I like to add this because it's not going to take up a layer. It's going to give you a little bit more interest going around, but it's not going to take up one of your fabric layers. You can just use it inside. I can trim this later. So I do it maybe once or twice when making my flower, just to give it a little more puff. Okay, so let's take my next piece of fabric, with that mesh inside. And I should just be able to easily still push this in. It's getting a little bit tighter as you get to your center, and that's good. You want it to do that, so that it's holding really firmly. And again, your next layer, your next circle. If you feel like it's not pushing down or you're having any trouble, just take your little hammer, or you can use a rubber mallet and just tap. Okay. And just keep going. My wood circles aren't getting as tight as I want, so again, just a few little light taps. And then I've already painted this little centerpiece. Oops, I missed a piece of fabric. This fabric is thin enough that it's going to let me double it up, so I'm going to get an extra little layer here. And I'll place my circle. Now this should be pretty tight. If you can't push it, just tap it in, and that's it. And I've created all these little circular pieces, little extra wood cutouts that you can use if you want to make it a little cuter, or just add a little extra. You don't have to use them. And that's really all there is to it. This was the first file. This is really tight. All the pieces are flush. So all the files are essentially the same. They're all going to just be the same method of, let's grab this one. I think this might be file 4. There's 5 files in total, but they're all going to be the same idea. Some of these, I added a flower shape in there. This is just for a little bit of a different look. Same idea though. Wanted to show you this also. So I know kids will be probably making these, because my kids used to love stuff like this. So you probably should not use this tip for anything you do with kids, but there are some fabrics like this. Let's see, I think I have another piece here. I'm not exactly sure what they are. I'm not a fabric expert. They're thin and they're slightly shiny. You'll really just have to experiment, but I love this type of fabric because what I do with it is, when you have your shape cut, just your general circular shape, again with the little petal edges. What you can do with this is either use a candle or a lighter, and you can go around the edges, and it essentially is burning the fabric, but it's creating almost a more realistic petal shape. I'll go all the way around the outside, but I also like to do the inside. Be careful with your fingers, and definitely don't let kids do this. So it's gonna crinkle the whole piece up, and when you put it all together, start with this. You can also do a couple different layers at once because it's thick enough, or I'm sorry, it's thin enough that it's going to let you easily push it through. So it's really giving you, where's my next sheet? Here we go. It's giving you a more realistic, I don't know if I'm using the right piece. Let's see. Yes. No. What did I do with that? Okay, sorry about that. Well, I didn't have it prepared in front of me, so I'm just going to have to show you. I'll put them all in one layer. Hopefully that'll work. So it's going to create almost a more realistic looking flower. If I had this better prepared, I would be able to show you all the way in, but that's kind of the general idea. And I think that's all the tips I needed to show you. The only file I think I really need to explain is the very last one, file 5, because all the rest are basically the same idea as the first file. The very last one is file 5, and then there's a 5-1. That is this backing piece. I just made a solid back with a hanger at the top so that you can create flowers to hang on the wall. When they're finished, they'll be about 12 inches or so, because I think this was about 10, and then you have that extra. So you're going to cut your outside edge, your backing piece. You can paint that or whatever you want. It really won't show under the fabric. And then I paint my outside piece also. And then you're really doing the exact same thing with the fabric. Every layer here is getting fabric, fabric. Again, you can paint this piece, fabric here, all these layers, all the way to the center so that you'll get a nice big flower that you can hang on the wall. And that's about it. I really appreciate you purchasing this file. If you have any questions, you can message me on my Etsy shop, NicCreates, NicCreates on Etsy. Thanks so much, guys.